got changed and we freaked out, and you realize that someone just changed it to 2021.
Yeah. Just let him know I have an introduction that I'm doing, my like introduction training that I'm doing.
Okay, we are live on Facebook and we're also recording this. This is Isaiah Colton with Real Insider Pro, and this is our podcast that we do once a week. And the whole purpose of this podcast, the first time that you're seeing us, is to bring you inside of the top 1% of what real estate agents are doing to build and scale their business. And this is one of my favorite parts of the week. I love this podcast because we're able to really take a deep dive into what I call advanced sales and marketing strategies. And I'm starting a series that's largely around the topic of generating seller leads. And the reason why I'm doing this is because we all know more than ever, we have to find better ways to generate seller leads because of the market. And for some of us, the idea of door knocking and cold calling, even though I'm a proponent of prospecting, is something that not a lot of people are satisfied just only doing that, right? And so one of the things that we're going to be discussing today is something that is so hot, okay? So hot right now that you 100% have to take action on this. And I'm really excited because I actually have a guest with me that's going to be coming on, helping me talk about the topic of taking advantage of Google local listings and how it can generate you inbound phone calls. Okay. And so this is this is a kind of a whole series we're going to be doing on attracting and converting listings. But today's main topic is really devoted around this idea of generating leads using Google local listings. Now, if you haven't heard of me before, or this is your first time listening to this podcast, I've been in the real estate business since 2014. Before that, as an investor, and I left a six-figure job to join a brokerage. And originally, I was an investor in that brokerage, and I decided to join as the CEO to help grow it. And one of the biggest problems we had was not just lead generation, but finding leads that actually could convert in a cycle that we needed to hit our goals. And we got really good at the lead conversion game. And we really honed in on database marketing. And through that, we developed some really cool technology called REN. And now we service agents all across the country, helping them with their database marketing and their lead conversion. And it's been an awesome ride. We've had the privilege to grow and scale to hitting the Inc. 500, number 308 on the Inc. 500. And I put together this podcast for people that are really looking to get the key insights on really the most cutting edge strategies. And so I'm going to start off our podcast today by giving you an overview on what's happening and what the top agents are doing. And I'm actually interviewing 100 listing agents who are using what strategies they're using and what is happening when I've been listening some of the top listing agents, or when I've been interviewing some of the top listing agents in our network. What has been happening is this conversation has been coming up over and over again about Google local listings, or Google local service ads. It's been coming up over and over and over again. So I want to give you an overview on what this is about, and then have my guest speaker, Jason, come on with us and talk to us more about how he's actually executing on this. And then we're going to end off with some action steps here. So you're going to want to stay tuned until the end, especially to hear Jason, because he's got some awesome information and some ideas for you. I'm going to introduce Jason here in a minute, but just give an idea, high level. Zillow, as you guys know, Zillow's they're decided to become a brokerage, and there's a lot of unanswered question what that means for agents. Here's what I'm sharing with you. My opinion, it's the best thing that's happened to agents. Here's why. It's created a unique opportunity. And one of them is with Google. They've decided to attack search when it comes to real estate in a whole different way. They want to take search back. And they know that it's the most opportune time to do that because of the shifts that Zillow is making. And what has happened, because Zillow has decided to become a brokerage, and they're rolling that out strategically, there's a problem. There's a conflict with the local MLSs that they're joining, because you can't leave a bad review. You can't talk negatively about another agent when you're associated with the MLS. So if there's bad reviews on Zillow, this whole reviews thing becomes a conflict. And so the talk is that reviews may go away on Zillow, and that leaves a major problem for a lot of realtors. Now, with that said, Google knows what's happening. And so they created a service called Google Local Ads. And it's largely review based, which we're going to get into. But here's what's exciting about it is, you know, the formula, because there is a formula to make this work. You know that formula, you can get one of the hottest, most effective leads on the planet. I believe that this is the biggest shift in lead generation and lead conversion that's happened in online search in over 20 years. Okay. And so that's why we're going to take a lot of time to talk about it. We're going to take a deep dive in this podcast to really walk through this, but that's really the framework. And within that framework, there's one key phrase I want you to write down. I want you to take away. That's becoming more important than ever before because of how Google is basically ranking certain agents to show up on the searches. And that rank is going to largely determine how many phone calls you get. So we really have to hyper focus on what I call branding and positioning. Okay. So branding and positioning, what we have to hyper focus on, meaning when people type in our name or they type in things related to real estate, like in my market, Rochester Realtors or Realtors in Rochester, we have to focus on what's coming up, what's happening with our Google business page, and making sure we're paying attention to it and making sure we're learning the formula, what's called search engine optimization, the formula that goes in to making sure that you rank at a high level. Okay. And so that's kind of what we're going to dive into. And within that, if you're looking to attract sellers, one of the most common mistakes that I see is when people are doing a search on Google, and let's say you get your business page to show up, what is the message that they're seeing, right? Do you reek of success on the seller side of the business? And what I mean by that is that if you're committed to being a listing agent, you want to attract listings, you have to make sure you have language and unique value, or what I call a unique value proposition that speaks to the pain points and to what you bring to the table to help that home seller, because they're making a judgment call on whether they should pick up the phone and call you or put in an inquiry based on what they're seeing, right? So if what they're seeing is generic language about just how great you are in general and your statistics and how long you've been in business, but your profile and your business profile doesn't speak to the home seller, are you going to attract more business potentially, but you're not going to attract as many home sellers as you want? And I think for a lot of you, the light bulb is going off right now saying, yeah, I got to pay attention to my profile. Here's the other thing I want to share with you when it comes to branding and positioning. Video, as important as it is more important than ever. And we want to make sure we're getting reviews, okay? But what's even more important than just reviews is video reviews. Video testimonials are extremely important part of this process. And so I just wanted to kind of lay the foundation, is that because of what's happening with the shift between what's happening with Zillow and what's happening with Google, our branding and positioning is something that we have to really look at when it comes to going after, when it comes to our overall marketing strategy. It's got to be a major priority. And within that, reviews have to become a major priority, because this is definitely something that I call first mover advantage. Okay. And I'm going to get Jason here involved in a minute to walk us through this. But if you remember, when Zillow was pushing reviews in a big way, what happened is the agents that took that seriously and they went out and got all these reviews, they weren't necessarily linked to a specific property. They could just go put reviews there. And you had some agents, they stacked up 500, 1,000 reviews. And so what happened on Zillow, they were ranked very high organically. And so they could get a lot of organic leads from Zillow. And it was hard for other agents to ever compete with that. The same thing's happening with Google right now, where it's the review game is everything. They're not really strict on reviews as far as not being attached to actually somebody that you worked with yet. Okay. So you can engage in your SOI to help you with those reviews, not just your past clients. And you can leverage the review game, and you want to do that fast. You want to do that now. You want to get this set up now. We're going to walk you through how to do it. in a second, but you want to go after reviews like a maniac, because what's going to happen is Google is going to get smart and they're going to say, you know what, we're going to have to make sure this review is attached to somebody that you actually worked with. Okay. So that's the framework of this conversation. And I want to just kind of leave off on one point before I introduce my guest. And that is looking at different lead sources that are out there. Okay. Your SOI, in my opinion, is always going to be the best source of listing leads. And you need to make sure you have a strong database marketing strategy to be able to get to reach out and speak to sellers within your database. All right. Within that, you want to make sure that you have a strong database strategy and that your database is in order, because this is going to be the number one way that you reach out to get, or one of the top ways you're going to reach out to get reviews. All right. So your SOI, your past clients and your referrals being set up in your database the right way is so important. Okay. Now, also within that, a very important part of this conversation, which we're going to talk about, which I want you to take special note of. Most agents, in my experience, if they're just new to the lead generation game, they'll go out and sign up to a lead generation company, but they're not actually paying attention to what the expectation should be on the lead conversion side of it. Meaning, if I am doing a random search and if I'm searching and I'm looking for homes on the internet and I trip over Zillow, that's called a platform, and I put my information in to that platform, I'm in a shorter buying cycle, most likely, than somebody who's hanging out on social media, not searching, not opting into anything, but then sees an ad, finds that ad appealing and puts their information in and generates a homeowner lead or a home seller lead or a buyer lead. That's why you traditionally see a platform lead has a little bit shorter of a conversion cycle. The follow-up cycle is a little bit different than maybe like a social media lead. It's a longer follow-up cycle. Now, here's what's exciting about Google local ads. Because they're searching, because they're looking, they're seeing you, and then they're calling you. It's one of the shortest conversion cycles out of any lead in the industry right now. And that's why we're so excited about it. So I just wanted everyone to really understand what the excitement is around Google local ads, how important your business profile is to make it work, and making sure that you're taking this seriously. And you're doing a couple things. You're engaging your database, you're getting your database in order, and you're working with urgency to get reviews. Okay. And so with that, I am so excited to have my guest here today, Jason Dillon. He is a top producing agent, has an awesome team, and he is a club wealth coach, and he is ahead of the game. I can tell when I first talked to him, he knew what he was doing. He knew what was going on with Google local ads, and he was having a ton of success with it. So Jason, thanks for joining us on our podcast here today. I really appreciate it.
Isaiah, thank you so much for having me. I was really excited when you reached out, because this is something that we've been using and having some great success with. So I'm happy to share it with everybody and help everybody implement it into their business.
Awesome. Jason, I want to get a chance for people to get to know you a little bit, and
Sure.
And what your kind of what your backstory is, and if anyone had referrals or anything like that. Just a little bit about your market, and how they could get a hold of you, if we could start off there.
Sure. So I am in the Hudson Valley area in New York State. We're about an hour north of New York City, and I also service northern New Jersey, Bergen County. I've been licensed since the end of 2017, so I'm in my fourth full year of real estate right now. I'm in my second year running a team. And I joined Club Wealth in 2019, and that's really where I started to see a lot of my business grow, implementing a lot of the fantastic things that I've learned through Club Wealth, and people like yourself who share some great learning opportunities and ways to implement things into your business.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And let me ask you, what was your main motivation? I mean, because obviously you have success you have success with what you're doing. What was your main motivation in checking out Google local ads? Why was it appealing to you? Why, I guess, why take the time to set it up, right? Because we're all busy, right?
Sure.
There's a little bit of work here. So why, just give us a little bit of background on that.
Yeah. So I had heard about it. I want to say, I think I heard about it for the first time at a business strategy mastermind with Club Wealth in November, and didn't really know much about it. Started looking into it a little bit.
Yeah.
And, almost with anything, kind of like the stock market, like if you get in once, everybody knows about it, you're kind of too late. So there really wasn't any saturation in the market. And actually, when I checked into it, there was not a single agent in my market utilizing it. So I really just jumped into it. I do use YLobo, so they helped me with a lot of the integration.
Awesome.
And
they're a great company.
I mean, we're just hitting the ball out of the park with this. I mean, if you think about it, if you go anywhere, if you do anything, if you're like, well, hey, I'm going to a town, I'm going on vacation, what do I do? Most people go to Google. You look up a restaurant to go to, or you look up a place to go hang out, something to do with the family. So when somebody looks something up, Google's, I mean, I don't know if I could name a person in the entire world that doesn't know what Google is, or that hasn't used it. And so just with that too, when somebody's going to look up for a realtor in a certain market, if you pop up, and especially, to your point before about reviews and SEO, if you're all over the place and they see your name everywhere with tons of reviews, they're gonna be like, man, this is the guy that I got to talk to, and
this guy's
so we've been doing well with that.
That's awesome. What is, so you, after you got set up, walk us through what kind of, just some idea, if you don't mind sharing, like what the success it's done, what success you've had, I guess, with it.
Sure. So in the beginning, it was just like anything. It's learning what to expect. Having some stuff, go through a little bit of growing pains, with agents, with your systems. I mean, you can have all the shiny objects in the world. If you don't have systems to help you, and you don't take advantage of those systems and utilize them to keep yourself organized and on track, none of it's going to work. So the first thing is you have to be committed to utilizing the systems. Otherwise, you might as well light your money on fire. I'll share with you the last 30 days, because this is really where we started. It took a little bit of time to get implemented and figure it out, but now we're cruising. And I can tell you the last 30 days, I mean, our conversion rate, our connection rate, I mean, these might be dollar for dollar the best leads I've ever had. And we've spent money on all sorts of different systems, but I mean, I'm really starting to, I've gone through in the last 30 days and I've really looked through everything that we're spending money on. And I'm taking money out of different places, and I'm just funneling more money to this, because it's really just the conversion and connection rate, now that we have it dialed in, is through the roof. So just to share a little bit about that, I mean, in the last 30 days, we've gotten, and I upped our ad spend 2 days ago. So this is with a lower ad spend. Because in the beginning, we weren't sure how much to put into it. But in the last 30 days,
you're kind of feeling it out, right?
Yeah. So in the last 30 days, we've had 27 leads come in. We've connected with 25 out of the 27. That's a 92.5% connection rate. We've gone on 11 listing appointments. We've signed 7 of them. 4 of them we're still nurturing a little bit. And we have 7 buyers that we're actively showing properties or in contract on from the last 30 days.
What amazing. I mean, the conversion rate, the thing that hit me right away was the conversion rate.
Yeah. I mean, we have all of my agents on the team. I have 6 agents on my team right now. And every day when we do our daily huddles, all I keep hearing about is we keep getting all these calls from Google, and these clients are great. They're ready to go. They're pre-approved. They're ready to buy a property. I mean, these are like the lowest on the funnel that I've seen.
Yeah. And that's just it. That's, in my introduction, that's really what I want everyone to grasp here is that, it's one thing to generate a lead. It's another thing to pay attention to its conversion cycle and when it's going to convert. And, people ask me all the time, well, Isaiah, what's the best lead source out there? And one of the things that I say is you got to have a balanced approach. That's why we kind of break things down, at least we call it our REN success formula, Jason, where
Yeah.
what we do is we recommend you have an A list, B list, and C list, and you figure out where you have a long-term nurturing plan for like your geographical farm. That's probably your C list, because you're going to get some low-hanging fruit, but you're not going to get a crazy high conversion. You got to nurture it. And then you have maybe like social media leads might be on a B list. They're not bad leads. You're just gonna,
Right.
you'll catch some low-hanging fruit, but you're gonna have to nurture a lot of that over 6 months, right? And to make that work. And then you have your A list, and your A list should be your SOI. Maybe a platform lead would be on that A list. And I would say, based on what's happening and what the stats I'm hearing, what you're saying, you can almost take Google local ads and have that an A list type of lead, because it's so short in the conversion cycle. It's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these are almost like hand raisers. These are almost
Right.
like people that are literally just like,
Right.
they're
Yeah.
calling you. I mean, they're like,
Right.
hey,
Right.
the hand raisers, they put in information. They're like, hey, I'm ready for a phone call. These guys they're
Yeah.
calling you directly. They're
Right.
like, hey, I saw your reviews online. I saw your website online. I saw everything about, I Googled your area. I need you to help me. And it's insane. I can't even explain how, like, I'm wrapping my head around the conversion and the way that these leads are coming in.
Yeah, that's awesome. How many of them are buyers versus sellers, roughly?
Well, I mean, out of the 25 that we connected with, 11 of them, we went on listing appointments. 7 of them were actively, they're buyers that
Yeah.
some of those listing appointments were duplicate. They were buyers that also had to sell.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Man, I mean, I say
50-50,
they're
it
actually
sounds like?
more, they seem to be more listing heavy right now in the last 30 days.
Yep.
Or both,
folks-
they either need to list their house and move out of area, and then we have a referral opportunity, or they need to do both. They're upsizing or they're downsizing, whatever the case may be. I actually, after listing agent boot camp a couple weeks ago, on the way back, we were stopped for lunch, and I got a phone call through Google LSA from an agent in South Jersey that was looking for a referral agent to list a property up here. She called me. She's like, hey, she called me directly through LSA. She's like, hey, I saw your reviews online. I have a client that needs to sell a property, and I came across your name, and I got a referral through LSA from another agent.
You know what? I think that's one of those intangibles, right? Is that when you optimize your profile and then you are using Google LSA, you're going to get more freaking referrals too, because right?
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
that's awesome. I didn't even think about that as being
I didn't either until it happened.
right. You're like, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What do you like? So we have this very much mapped out, and we have some follow-up materials for our clients if you want to know the exact details. But I still want Jason to on a high level at least talk about some of the things he's done to make sure he ranks properly, because you can't just get signed up and not
Sure.
do anything. You got to get reviews. You got to,
Mhm.
You got to put some hustle into it, right? You got to make it work.
Yep.
So what are some of the things that you did, Jason, to optimize your business page? I know reviews is part of that. If you could speak to that, to
Sure.
rank higher so you get more calls.
So, a couple of things. So the way that the Google LSA, platform works is if, everybody wants to put their business hours, and I'm a firm believer in protecting your time, protecting your schedule. And, if I'm going to be with my family, like, I don't want to take a call. However, Google LSA doesn't recognize that, right? So if you put your business hours from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and a Google LSA opportunity comes in at 6:01, you're out, right? You have to be open.
They're not even going to give you the call.
On Google, right? So I sit down and I go over with my with the agents on my team. I have agents on my team that they're like, listen, if my phone rings at 10:30 at night and I'm awake and I want to take it, I'll take it. So our posted business hours on Google are 24 hours, because somebody's not going to call at 2:30 in the morning, right? And if they do, it'll go to voicemail, and we have an inbox voicemail for that. But you got to be in to have an opportunity. So our Google hours are not like what we would say, like, I'm not going to grab a call at 11 o'clock at night, but I have agents on my team that will, and that's what they're for. So your availability on your business hours have to be, what you want to receive a call at. Also, make sure your profile is fully set up, your location, your office location. Where you show up is going to be based on your reviews, your review rating, and also how many reviews that you have. And it does randomize a little bit, so like right now, there are a handful of agents in my market that are all utilizing it. Coincidentally, typically when you look at my market, we actually have a handful of agents in my market that are Club Wealth members, and they happen to all rank the highest. I'm sure that's a coincidence.
And or maybe first mover advantage too, right? Like they might have gotten in there all around the same time because Club Wealth was
and because we were talking about it earlier,
talking about before anybody else,
Absolutely.
And that's, I think that's what I do love about Club Wealth. Just a little bit of a side note here. Why I'm a huge fan of Club Wealth is, you guys are just awesome you're always innovating. You guys function on such a high level because you're very much about growing teams and building a team. So you're at the forefront of everything that's happening in the industry. And so it doesn't surprise me, that's how it worked out, so.
Yeah. So it does randomize, like no matter what I have, I could have the best overall package on what I need to optimize. Number one, I'm still going to sometimes be number two, number three, but I'm always going to be up there in the mix. But as long as you're in that top three, you're really kind of fine because you're highlighted if you're in the top three. And then somebody's going to see, oh, well, this person has 20 reviews. This person's got 80 reviews and they got a little bit of a higher rating. So even though they didn't show up first, they're still in that top three. They still might call you anyway. And the reviews are huge. So what we did was we ran a contest with our team. And, I gave the template and I told everybody on the team, because Google's smarter than all of us when it comes to this stuff, right? We're not going to outsmart Google. That we want to fall high in the rankings, but we want it to be authentic, right? I don't want agents going on there. If I have a new agent on the team, I don't want to see reviews from that agent, 20 reviews of how they help somebody buy a house, because we know that's not true. Right. And in today's day and age, you'll get a bitter agent or somebody else in your market that they'll report you because they know that agent just joined your team. They just got their license 2 weeks ago. There's no way they could have closed the deal. Nonetheless, 20, and then Google shuts you down. So I told, agents, I said, hey, if you're new to the team, I still like you to participate in the contest, but go to your sphere, go to your circle of people and have them speak on your personal character, right? Your work ethic, your integrity. And we ran a contest. We did a 5-day contest. When we first started the contest, actually, we were on a Clubhouse call of, a few days ago. I think it was like the first or second day I actually had this contest running. And I had started with 32 reviews when I started the contest. The contest ended yesterday. We had 88 reviews in 5 days. So, awesome.
That's massive.
Yeah, and we're just going to keep it going. It's part of our onboarding process. When we bring on a brand new agent, we ask them to go out there, same thing. We give them the template. And part of the reviews is we make sure that they specifically mention the Jason Dillon home team word for word, because that's going to help with the SEO and the optimization, the optimization of when people are searching. We want those keywords in there, so we want their name mentioned. We want the team's name mentioned, and some of those trigger words, customer service, integrity, hardworking, all those types of things that are going to look favorable for us when people are looking at reviews.
That's awesome. Have you used any other strategies, or is that primarily that's an awesome strategy. Is any other strategy you use to get reviews?
That's it. That's what we've been doing right now. We do, obviously, when a deal closes, we go after the reviews, but that we're still kind of, I want to say we've been doing it for a few months. So I still want to consider us in the infancy stages of figuring it all out. But
88 reviews is awesome. For
we got, like I said, we got 56 reviews in 5 days. And, prior to that, we weren't really, prior to November, December, we really weren't utilizing Google as we should. It wasn't really a tool that we had. It was there, we wanted to make sure that we're on every single site. So when you search us, the whole first page is us, right? No matter what web, whether it's our our own website, our own individual website that's customized, if it's our broker provided website, if it's realtor.com, Zillow, Redfin, any
Right.
website, it's us, and it takes you to us. And it's all organic, and we've been having a lot of success with that.
That's awesome. Now you have a team. So how do you determine who's taking the call? What sort of technology do you use to make all that work?
Sure.
when
So
the
for
calls come
Google
in?
itself, well, we have a system that we implement for some, other platform-based leads like Zillow, called
Yep.
Callingly, which literally will increase our speed to lead.
Great.
Before we were implementing that, it was goes into your inbox, it goes into your voicemail, your email, and
Yeah.
when you get to it, you get to it. I don't believe in round robin, right? I'm like, I want agents that are hungry, that are aggressive, and they want to work, right? The money's out there, go get it. The opportunities are out there. I want you to earn them and fight for them. So everything's on a first to claim with us.
So it goes into Callingly, it rings, and then the agent, whatever agent picks up the phone first.
Yeah. So we have,
Right.
depending on what the lead source is,
Yep.
if the agents meet certain KPIs, which are evaluated weekly, they'll qualify for certain type leads. So Google, Zillow, those are a little bit more of our, bottom of the funnel. They have
Yep.
to, maximize their KPIs. They can't miss anything. If they don't, they might still qualify for like a standard type of a lead, like a Facebook lead, but those are a little bit more top of funnel. Their conversion cycle might not be as good. But we want to reward those that are putting in the effort and the work. So, we don't want everybody to just have a layup, right? Everybody's got to, earn it and work for it. Otherwise it just doesn't work. You're not going to grow and scale that way. So,
Yeah.
so
And
the
just
calling,
I think for anyone as a team, this is really good conversation. What are some of the metrics that you use to evaluate your team on a weekly basis? If you don't mind sharing.
The one thing that I don't do is I don't tie any of the KPIs to actual closings, right? Because I want the agents on the team focused on the actual activities, the daily activities and action and habits that need to be formed. So phone calls, follow-up, appointments, those things. Because if you're making 50, 100 phone calls a day, if you're setting 3, 4, 5, 6 appointments a day, just by default, you're going to have closings. So I don't want to put that
And it shows
pressure,
you they're
especially
hungry
on
and
a
they're
new
going
agent.
to work the leads, right? They're going to go after it.
Yeah, you're going to just get closings by putting in the
Yep.
work and taking the action. And sometimes you get a brand new agent to the team that's got no sales experience, all that pressure to close a deal. I'm like, I don't want you to worry about that. Just make the phone calls, make your follow-up, make sure that you're doing your daily tasks and you're setting your appointments. And I promise, it doesn't matter who you are. If you do these things, you're going to have closings.
That's really good. And when the calls come in, I'm sure there was, every type of lead to how you work it, and your intro is a little bit different. Do you find there was a little bit of a learning curve when it came to getting those inbound phone calls, or was it pretty easy transition because they're ready? Or just walk us through that a little bit, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So, I mean, are you talking specifically the Google LSA?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Going back to the Google.
Yeah. So what we did so every lead source that we have, for the most part, we actually have a dedicated phone number for. So we have, when we first started, I had a Google Voice number. And then when we converted the follow-up boss for our CRM, we ported that number over. So now all of our yard sign and our Google number is a particular number. So each agent, I say, save this number. If you get a call from here, it's from a yard sign. If you get a call from here, it's Google. If you get a call from here, it's Zillow. So they know. I mean, you should just answer your phone if you're an agent, is the truth. But this way they at least know. Because I mean, that's every time that phone rings, when you see Google, it's money, right? So pick it up.
Yep.
And this way it syncs. It goes right into follow-up boss. It goes right into our CRM. We have some other companies that we've worked with to help our integration and our back end stuff, to make sure that when a call or a lead comes in from a certain platform, the right action plan is set up, the right tags, the right tasks are automatically created. So there's some automation to it, because at the end of the day, listen, nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I want to make 50 to 100 phone calls a day. Like, it's not like something that people enjoy doing, but they enjoy the results, right? They enjoy the making a $5, $7, $10,000, commission check from it.
Absolutely.
So it just has to be part of your daily routine, and daily. But yeah, so we have a lot of integration. I want the agents on our team focusing on income producing activities, not so much the monotony of, the mundane tasks, which is still a part of it. But like I said, we do have a lot of integration and automation to try to make it as seamless and easy for the agents as possible.
That's great. And it seems based on the conversion rate that the conversations are not too tough, like that they're warm enough where you can ask a couple qualifying questions, like you normally would before you go out on an appointment. So when that call comes in, it doesn't seem like there's too much of a learning curve for the agents to be able to turn that call into an appointment. Because I know when people are paying $35, $50 a lead, there's some people that are like, what if it doesn't convert into an appointment? I can hear some people thinking about that, so
Yeah.
how did that go with your team? Was the conversion, is the conversion pretty good from a phone or from the phone call to an appointment?
Like I said, certain more of your bottom of the funnel leads do have a better conversion rate just normally, but it's really all mindset. It really is such a mindset thing. And, I'm a big believer in having that positive energy and having a good mindset, having that mind. Like I can have agents in my market that people would say, oh, well, that's your competition. I'm still going to help them because there's so much opportunity, and I'm not worried about, they're going to be my competition either way. If I can help them, make us overall as real estate agents and realtors, look better. It shines a better light on us, overall, for the whole outside world community looking in. But
so people that are worried about signing up to Google local ads because of conversion, don't worry about it. If you have the right mindset going into it, let the calls come in, you'll get better. They're so warm. It's worth going through whatever learning curve it is, and don't worry about $35 to $50 a lead, because they're so good. And the more of them you take, you'll get the rhythm of it, of what to say when the call comes in. So all that will work itself out. The reason why I asked that, Jason, is I actually did a mastermind right before this, and that was a big question. Is like, okay, if I'm going to pay 35, 50 or whatever the number is per appointment, how do I know, or per phone call, how do I know it's going to, I can convert, and how much money am I having to spend? So I'm glad you shared your stats with us.
Listen, if for these types of leads, I'd pay double what I'm paying for them. Honestly,
Thank you.
Like they're
That's
so
what
good.
I was hoping.
You sit there and think about like how much, everybody's market's different. Everybody's average price point or price point that they work is different. But our average price point in our market's about $320,000 right now. So, if you think about that, you're making $6,000 to $9,000 commission on a deal. You're worried about paying $25 to $35 for those leads. So they're not all going to convert, but the majority of these leads are. If you answer your phone, that's the biggest thing. Everybody says, well, what's the one thing as a new agent or even an experienced agent, what can you do? The biggest thing I can say to anybody, write this down. This is like real cutting edge. This is like some real, critical thinking type stuff here. When your phone rings, answer it. That's it. That's really that's the majority of how successful you can be. Like, if you just answer your phone and don't screen your calls, you're a real estate agent. People are going to get your number from all sorts of places. If you answer the call and it's the guy trying to sell you an extended car warranty on the car you haven't had in 9 years, just hang up on him. Right. But that's money on the other line.
That's really good. Because, I know like people are thinking that way. They're like, I had a lot of people asking questions like that or about that. The other thing I think, I'm going to try to throw all the objections that people, because my whole thing is when people are listening to my podcast, I want people to take action.
Yeah.
Right. And so, like, I want there to be nothing in their mind that stops them just from going to do it. And so I know other people are like, well, I don't have time to go get all these reviews. Okay. right? And to do all this work. What would you say to somebody who's thinking that right now and kind of, that's an objection in their mind that's cycling through their head?
I mean, one, it doesn't take a whole lot of time. You literally can just make a post on social media, ask your friends to help you. Your friends want to help you, right?
Yeah.
Your friends want to help you be successful. They want to see you succeed. So just ask them for help. Tell them that you're looking to grow your business and that you need their help and your support and that you're counting on them, and they'll do it. And you know what? You might not get 50 reviews, but you might get 10, and that's 10 more that you have now. And if you do that once a month, this is why people need to work their sphere, because
right,
when you're only engaging with people to ask for something, people might be less, willing to help. But if you're constantly out there putting yourself on social media, and like you said, videos, videos speak volume. We literally just switched from our onboarding process. I was doing like videos on BombBomb, and I was uploading videos. Like if an agent on my team's like, well, how do you do this? I would just make a video so I don't have to like explain it every single time. Now I'm doing it on YouTube because YouTube and Google are like, they talk like they're the same, company. So I want to be on YouTube so that now I have video content out there, and that'll just help with all the SEO out there. So just do it. You don't have time not to, because if you don't do the reviews, if you're not busy with clients, you're going to have a lot of time because you're not going to be out with clients helping properties, and you're not going to be able to grow your real estate business. Real estate is by far the best thing in the world that's ever happened to me. And
that's awesome.
The only thing that I say is I wish I would have gotten into it, sooner than I did.
All right. How about people that are like, oh, well, I'm not a techie, so this sounds kind of techie to me. And I just like prospecting and pick up the phone, or I'm not good with technology. How, what would you say to that person that's thinking about that? Maybe they're like all this Google stuff and, page reviews and all this other stuff, that's not for me. What would you say to that type of person that's thinking about that anyway?
I'm probably worse than you when it comes to tech, right? I am awful when it comes to, there's like very few things that I can figure out how to do when it comes to tech.
Yeah.
But that's only because somebody's shown me a whole bunch of times and I vaguely remember it. If you're not that good at tech, there's so many options. Hire somebody to help you. If you can't hire somebody to be like a full-time support system for you on a monthly basis in a subscription type of a thing, you can go on to any of these sites where you can hire like freelance people. I can't think of but you literally can go out there and you can post a job on so many different freelance. I know there's one is freelancer.com.
Oh, so you have Fiverr.
Fiverr, that's the one I couldn't think of.
Fiverr,
so Fiverr, freelancer.com. You literally can just hire somebody, in a different country for 20, 30, 50 bucks and tell them, hey, here's what I need. And they'll do it for you. Like,
that's right.
You hire somebody to do the things you're not good at, because this way you can focus your time on the things that you're good at. Like, I don't like spending time on things I'm not good at. I hire somebody to do those things. I focus on the things that I'm good at and try to get better at those and grow and scale those things.
Yeah, I think one of the limitations we have when we get into business is we think we have to be good at everything, right? Or we don't do it. Like in this, and that's something that a mental muscle that you develop over time. And that's something that everyone's going to run into. And what he said is so important, is that what you need to be good at is taking in the knowledge and the information. What you need to be better at is not the how. And I want you guys to write this down, not the how, but the who. 100%. If you want to be great in real estate, you have to not just be good at the how. You got to understand the how, but you don't have to do it yourself always. You have to find who else can do it, so you can focus on what you need to focus on. And that's revenue generating activities, like Jason said. And for me, once I got really, really good at, that's when our brokerage started exploding. That's when every business I've ever engaged in has exploded, when I stopped thinking it's all about Isaiah, right? And all about Isaiah having to figure out and do it all. It's not. Get the right people around you. And the nice thing about the world today is there's inexpensive ways to do things and it still works okay, right? There's ways to do it that are maybe a modest budget, and then there's premium ways to do it. So you can, whatever your budget is, you can't let your budget be an excuse, because like Jason said, there's somebody else that will do it, right? You just got to find it. You got to be proactive and go out and get it. And you'll find that the strategies like this will work. And here's the thing: the reason why I'm taking so much time in this portion, folks, is because I know when people listen to things, they get excited, they gain into information, and then they start thinking about all the reasons why they can't do it. And I do not want those reasons. We want to answer all those questions, and that's kind of what we're going to transition to here, Jason. And first of all, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I don't know what your timeline is, but we've had some questions kind of come in from Facebook, the live chat, and since I've been talking about this topic. And you can feel free to stay here if you want, Jason.
Yeah, no, I allotted for some
questions.
time. I allotted for some time, so I still got some time to hang out.
Okay, awesome.
Be happy to.
Awesome. We just like kind of do like a roundtable conversation here. So,
Sure.
So the first question is how long? The first question we got is how long did it take to get set up from the time that you started to the time that it was officially launched? What was that kind of time frame for you?
Well, again, I had YLoco do it. So I don't know what the timeline would be if you tried to do it on your own.
I can answer that one if that's okay, because we did it for our brokerage. So
okay, sure.
It's so for us to go through it, it took about to get the whole thing to the point of verification where you're waiting for the card to come in, because there's a card that's going to come in the mail. So what's going to happen is you're going to the first step here is you're going to want to go to your business page, and you want to get your business page in order, get it all set up. And we have a whole list of optimization techniques for you that I don't have time to drill down into right now, but you want to get your Google business page in order, set up. You want to get some video testimonials, some good pictures. Like one key thing that Jason said, which I'm hoping we picked up on, you don't want to have any limitation of hours, because Google will not give you the phone call if it comes in at like 7 or 8 and you'll say that you close at 5. And so there's some other things from keywords, but video is important. Okay. Anytime you can associate video testimonials with your business page, that is a very big deal to Google, because like Jason said, YouTube is a part of that. Okay. So here's the thing. The important thing is to get it set up. So there's some advanced things you can do that I'm going with you, but just get it set up. If you focus on it, getting it set up, you can probably hammer it out in about 4 hours or so to get it all optimized. And that's some of the kind of like the advanced part. And then from there, what you're going to want to do is get registered to Google Local Ads. And then there is a screening process. Don't get nervous. They're going to ask you for your Social Security. Okay. I believe they did that for you, Jason, when you were getting it set up, right?
They did. Yep.
And it's not a scam. It's Google. They want to make sure you're legit. Okay. So they're asking you for your Social Security. They're going to ask you, they're going to screen you. They're going to ask you for your license. They're going to ask you if you have some insurance, if you haven't, what your insurance is. If you don't have insurance, you should contact your broker. They'll accept that usually. Okay. So they're going to kind of have you go through that process. So it is a little bit of work, but after a couple of days, then from there, you just got to wait for the card. There's a card, and it's very important. You're going to want to look in the mail because there's a card that they're going to send out, and you got to make sure that you get that card from Google and verify that it's you. Okay. So that's a very, very important part. I'm going to give everybody a little bit of a trick or strategy here that works really well. If you have a big area that you reach out to, is that you can do it where you can register the office that you're from, but also if you work out of your home, okay, you can also register your home as well as part of an area that you do business, because what Google does is they have about a 30-mile radius. And if for whatever reason, your radius is larger than 30 miles that you do business in, or maybe you want to catch a different part of your city, then you want to find another place that you can register to that you do business from. And then you'll also, when people are typing in search, it's called hyper local marketing. When they type in search, you'll show up there as well. So the more locations that you have, okay, the more you'll show up. So, but if you wanted to start with one area, it's going to take you kind of a couple days, and you're going to be on a waiting period for a week or so. till that card comes in to be fully activated. Then you'll be up and running. So hopefully that answers your question. Anything you want to add to that, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, it again, just through Ylopo doing it, it took,
Yeah.
I would say it felt like less than a week, but
Yep.
maybe about that time.
About a week. Yeah.
And yeah, once you're verified, you're up and running, and it was relatively quick and painless.
That's good. What budget? Next question is what budget do you recommend starting out with when it comes to running Google local ads? Is there a recommended budget? And I have a couple comments there, but
yeah, I mean, it's really going to depend on where you are in your business, without looking at like your P&L and kind of seeing what your marketing budget is. I'd be irresponsible to just throw out a number, because what's good for me, is not going to be what's good for you or some different agents. But I mean, just start small, start with, if you want to start with, $50 a week, $100 a week, just to kind of see. Obviously, the less you spend, the less opportunity you're going to get. But just to get up and running, just start something. You can always change it. You can up your spend and down your spend anytime, right? You can turn it off.
Very good point.
So
very good point.
I started, I started, I think like $150 a week to start. And I think that was like supposed to be like 3 to 5 leads a week or something like that. And then as I started seeing success, I started, wow, this is great. I started dialing down some other spending and increased the spend for Google.
Into it.
And actually, which we won't get into all the logistics, but find yourself a lender partner that you can partner up with, that you can have them pay up to 50%, make sure you're RESPA compliant, but that you can have them pay for up to half your spending, and that's a good way to double your budget. So if you only can afford $1,000 a month, out of your pocket, see if you can get a lender to give you another, $1,000 a month. Then you have a $2,000.
That's a great idea. Yeah. Help get a co-opt, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's really good. I would say, anytime you're doing any kind of marketing in your budget, my rule of thumb is spend as much as you possibly can afford to, within your budget. Now with that, anytime you're doing something new, you might want to Jason's point, you might want to budget a little bit lower just to kind of feel it out, depending on where you're at in your business. But the rule with marketing is as much as you possibly can is what you should be spending, because at the end of the day, it's all about building your database, and the more opportunities that you have in front of you, to not only get a transaction, but then add more past clients to your database, generate more referrals. That's what it's all about. And it costs money to do that. So whatever you can afford to spend, that's responsible, but is what I would recommend you spend. We hear a lot of people that if they have a decent budget, they'll start out with right around $250 a week, give or take, and then go from there. But if not, start out with less. If you feel more comfortable, you could start out with more. So next question, last question here, Jason, that came in. Is what do you find is the number one objection that you're getting of why they're not like when the listings come in, like why they're not the ones that aren't listing, why aren't they signing up, I guess, or why aren't they listing?
So I can speak on the 4 examples that I have over the last 30 days. So we had 11 listing appointments. We were able to secure 7 of them right there. And then the other 4, one of them was realistically, her original plan was she was a year away from selling, but heard the market's crazy. And now she just wants to decide if she wants to leave her grandson now or in a year. Like a lot of them are just like personal reasons, logistical stuff, not because they're not ready. One of them, is going to sign probably in the next 2 weeks. They're just getting their house ready. And one of the parents was borderline dementia, so like they needed to sit down and go over it. I mean, these are all 4 of these that were not signed are going to be signed within the next 2 to 3 weeks, 100%.
That's
so
awesome.
I've really had no when I like
that's so cool.
Yeah, this is literally like it's
so
like taking
cool.
candy from a baby. Like if you're not on this, you got to get on it. Like you're missing.
Well, yeah, because I think a lot of people and the person that asked that question, I think what they're thinking is this like a for sale by owner expired. Am I going to get the same objections as I get with other type of seller leads, right? I think that's where that question's coming from.
Yeah.
So it doesn't.
I mean,
it sounds like
I
it's a
did
lot
well
lower.
with, you know, expired's a little bit less over the last year or so, but,
Yeah.
you know, I was always, you know, calling expireds daily. And those are still people that want to sell their property. Like they already had it listed. They're frustrated. You just got to find their hot buttons. But these people they're reaching out to you and they're saying, hey, I'm looking for somebody to help me buy or sell. And I looked up agents and you're the person I chose to talk to because your ratings were high. You know, you had reviews, you had, you know, 5 stars and lots of transactions, and your name was everywhere in your market. So you're the guy I have to talk to. Like they're just picking you. Yeah, you would really have to screw up the listing appointment to not get the listing.
That's so cool. All right, so we're going to transition here. You know, we appreciate everyone that put their questions in. I'm going to transition. I want to make sure people have an opportunity to just on a high level, at least know what the top strategies are to rank high on Google, so you can generate more seller opportunities. So there are more than this, but and we've kind of talked about some of them already, but I just want to kind of sum them up into a list for you of strategies so you can kind of hit the ground running here. So the big thing again is paying attention to your Google business page. Is you want to make sure that you use the right keywords. So when you in your business page, in the Google business page, there's a keyword section where you can add keywords. Also too, you want to pay attention to keywords when it comes to filling out your profile. Okay. And making sure that those keywords are actually integrated throughout your profile is a really important way to make sure that you're getting ranked. Okay. Another really powerful tool is, did you just tag me on something, Jason? Did something pop up? Sorry.
I did. I shared the live.
Oh, cool. Sweet. Yeah. Very cool. The other important thing is to make sure that you have video testimonials or video reviews associated with your brand, with your business page. And the reason why is because Google owns YouTube, as we know. And if you upload those video reviews to YouTube, okay, and you can associate them with your Google business page. And so it's a really powerful optimization tool. There's other things too, but if you did those 3 basic things, and then making sure that you have, if you're looking to attract sellers, make sure that your profile speaks to the sellers, more towards sellers, because you're going to have sellers, you're going to have buyers, but you know, one of the common mistakes that I see when people are optimizing their Google business page is there's a lot of generic information about who you are, what you're about. And if you want to get the home seller to pick up the phone and call you, you want to make sure that you're talking more about what you do to help home sellers than what you do to help home buyers. And I think that makes sense to a lot of people intuitively, but I don't think there's a lot of good training out there when it comes to developing a profile. We think it's more of generic information, but if you put your marketing cap on, you really want to make sure your profile is speaking to the home seller. Then also too, location is important, making sure that you have the proper locations filled out. We talked about registering multiple locations. That's important. And then also too, making sure that you have a website, your website is properly SEO'd, because when your website is attached to your Google business page, having your website properly SEO'd actually, believe it or not, helps your Google business page too, when they're associated with each other. There's more than that, but just I think if you even did a couple of those things, you're going to end up doing really well when it comes to making sure that you're showing up higher on search engines. And that's something that we're working on right now with our brokerage. I've been fortunate to be in the search engine space, so these are some of the things that we were working on here, making sure that our clients are implementing. But that's something that you'll find will help you if you just focus on those things. Jason, anything you want to add to that list that maybe I'm not thinking of?
No, and I mean, again, not to get techie because I'm not, but just one of the things that you were touching upon about having your website connected is then you can really start, once you start really understanding how the analytics work, then you
Yep.
can go in and look at like how much time people are actually spending on your website and
Yes.
where within your website they're spending time. Are they looking at your profiles? Are they looking at your, are they on your home evaluation site? You should definitely make sure that you have links and different places on your website to go to keep them there and keep them engaged. But that's a little bit more advanced, but yeah, no, it's, you
Yeah,
hit the nail on the head with this.
but once you get, but it's really important. And if you are really going to go after this in a big way, and especially if you have some leverage in your business, pay attention to what Jason just said, because it's very important. We don't have time to drill down to that in this podcast, but it's very, very, very important. Jason, how often would you recommend people managing the reviews on their business page? What have you done to kind of make sure that this is something that's become a habit for your team with the reviews? What kind of systems have you put in place to make sure that happens?
So one of the things that I do as a team leader is I reach out to the clients throughout the process and I just make sure that they're happy, right? It's not they're going to deal with the agent the whole time and I'm going to collect the check at the end. Like I make sure, and people want to feel appreciated, right? If you go into a business, right, you go to a restaurant, oftentimes a manager comes over and they check on you and they make sure that the meal is good and that your service is good. And it's the same thing. People want to talk to somebody that they feel is, a business owner or somebody that's involved in their business. So I reach out throughout the process, multiple touch points, like once there's an accepted offer, once the deal goes under contract, maybe once the appraisals, I just kind of touch and just say, hey, just want to see if you have any questions. I want to make sure everything's going well. And the feedback's good because this way, if there's a concern or there's a problem, you can get ahead of it, resolve it. A lot of times people run from problems. To me, problems are opportunities to build a better relationship, right? You can go in there and show, hey, listen, we're not immune to problems, right? When you get adversity, it's sometimes how you handle that really makes me, hey, you know what? A problem came up and they looked it right in the face. They fixed it. They made it better. We moved on. There were no issues. And you know what? Man, I really appreciated that. Like you guys took care of that. And I'm definitely going to make sure that people know that, you do everything for your client. So, you can, but if you wait till the end, the deal closes and there were problems, they're going to get, you send them out a review, you're going to get, 3, 5, 3, 4-star review. They might blast you,
Right.
Find a way to get ahead of it. So the closing should be the happiest part. It's frustrating for buyers and sellers. So that should be like the breath of fresh air, relief. Either they're getting keys in their hand or they're getting a check in their hand, and they should be happy to get to the next step of their life, not have to deal with disasters.
Yeah, and I think that what you do is you increase the lifetime value of that lead. Obviously that's not why we do it. We want to provide great service no matter what.
Sure.
But when you do that, a lot of people are just thinking about the new list, the listing. What Jason's doing, he's thinking about the review because he's also thinking about the next referral.
Yeah, it's the relationship business. It really is just like the title is a real estate salesperson. You can't like cram somebody in a house in like a couple of hours, right? It really is just building relationships, and it's when you put the client's needs ahead of everybody else. And like we have our brokerage, one of their biggest things is core values, right? Client oriented real estate, and it's there's a difference when you look at like agent focus when they're like look at me, look at me, look at me, and then you put the clients first. People see the genuineness and people see past all that stuff, right? So you got to put the clients first and make them feel important and valued.
I got a cool story actually from one of my clients. His name is Ben Lang, and he's been engaged with the process we're talking about here. And he got a listing lead. He converted it into an appointment. Went out on the appointment. It was I think it was like around a $450,000 listing in a nice cul-de-sac. And he's all about, he does the same thing you do. He has a really strategic process that he follows throughout the whole process of getting the contract with the listing, making sure they know what's going on, making sure the experience is good. And what happens to, this is just one example of it, but what happens to Ben more often than not is he'll actually have such a good experience. He'll get referrals without even asking. And then also to the neighborhood, he gets a ton of a ton of listings out of the same neighborhood because they start talking to the neighbors too, right? And so he had this one story is he got a listing. He ended up, it closed fast. He got like 20,000 over asking price, which is common for this market. But what happened was he did a circle prospecting campaign and some postcards, and he actually got a come list me now call off of a postcard. So it started with it started with a phone call from Google, got the listing, closed, ended up getting another listing from his circle prospecting, from the postcard. That closed, and then got a referral from that house or from that guy. So he got 3 transactions off of that one appointment.
Yeah. I mean, the listings give you so much leverage. And if you utilize them right, if you do your circle prospecting, if you do your just listed, just sold, if you do mega open houses, if you put a dozen, 20 signs everywhere. When I'm getting a listing, I'm putting signs on every street that can point you to a street that can point you to the street that the listing's on. Because you want people to see, man, I see your signs everywhere. You might have 20 signs for one listing, but it's brand recognition. It's your name, it's your face everywhere. You got opportunity to just stick billboards everywhere. And the more listings you have, the more opportunities you have with that.
I love it. So just don't think about the listing that you're getting now off this program too. Think about the lifetime value if you service that client the right way.
Yeah.
And the other opportunities that it brings. It's absolutely huge. I want to end with a quote here, which I think is relevant, because really at the end of the day, if you're going to be in the profession of real estate, you gotta start thinking like a marketer, and really put sales and marketing as a priority. Doesn't mean you have to be like some marketing guru, but you really got to think about it, right? And attack opportunities like we're talking about. You have to go after them, just like Jason has. And so I think this quote is very, very relevant to what we're talking about with digital marketing. Trends change fast. In the old world, you could afford to sit around and analyze the opportunity to see if it was for you. But in the new world, in internet marketing, the first mover has the advantage. And that's kind of what I think happened with you, right, Jason? Like, you're part of, don't get me wrong, awesome business, great. He's got great reviews, but he also you moved on the strategy.
Listen, I'll take luck anytime. Like, I don't, there's a lot of hard work, but there's also a lot of luck and timing, and I'll take the luck too. So, but yeah, if you're the first one in, you're the only game in town for something for a while.
That's right.
You get the advantage.
That's right. And here's the thing, why Jason is going to be in such a good position, because he's going to eventually have 200 reviews and 300 reviews, and his competitors, if they're just getting started, they're going to have a tough time ramping up to getting as many reviews as fast. And here's what Google's going to do. Eventually, they are going to associate the review with an actual transaction, and they're going to actually verify the reviews. So Jason's going to be further ahead, and that person that's got to actually have it be a transaction are going to only be able to get 15 or 20 or 30 or 40 or whatever, unless they're just a huge, they already have a huge past client database. So it's going to be a lot harder to compete with reviews, and that's a huge part of their algorithm. And that's my final thought here for you today, is it is first mover advantage, but that can get you a major organic advantage where it's going to be hard for people to catch up with you if you go out and take action. So here's what I want you to do. Final thoughts. Go out and get your local profile going. Develop a database marketing strategy to get reviews, right? Jason gave you one strategy. Here at Real Estate Nexus, if you're wondering what we're about, our niche is lead conversion. We take over and help agents master the art and science of database marketing, what we call an omni-channel marketing approach. So if you're with Ren listening to this, we have a whole strategy that's going to be coming out, helping you gather reviews through texting and through email marketing campaigns. And it's really, really exciting. And I also have an exciting announcement for all my run clients is in as part of your database marketing package that you have with us, we're going to be doing and optimizing your business reviews, your business page, and getting you set up on Google local ads and giving you a free website, all included, no extra cost with your database marketing package in addition to everything else we're doing for you. But if you're not a run client, you got to get your database in order because it's going to be a huge part of how you get reviews. Jason said this, he said, you got to have systems in place, right? And leverage the tools that are available to you to make this easier. You know, another great option to do this is YLocal, like you mentioned. They're another, you know, we're in the lead, we're largely in the lead conversion database marketing game, but there's some little bit of crossover there, but we highly recommend YLocal because they're in lead generation. They do some great things with lead retargeting, right? But also they have a great strategy with Google right now. So those are two great resources for you. But the point is take action. If we're not an option, go figure it out yourself, hire somebody from Fiverr, right? You don't want to do it yourself, but just take action and go figure it out. And so Jason, I really appreciate you again joining us here today. You have any final thoughts for our audience?
No, I mean, I appreciate you having me on. Glad to share. Hopefully, it was helpful. If anybody has any questions or they need a little bit, some more in-depth conversation on what they can do, feel free to reach out to me. You can reach out to me. You can email me at jason@jasondillonhometeam.com. I've been more than happy to help any of you guys, get your LSA up and running. It'll be a game changer for your business.
And look, here's the thing. Jason is not getting paid to come on here doing this. He's donating his free time because of his passion for this topic. And so I would just ask anyone who's listening to this podcast that you strongly consider Jason. If you have any referrals in his market, we would both greatly appreciate that. And Jason, again, thank you for taking your time to walk us through what you're doing with this program. It's going to change a lot of people's lives in a way. I mean, this is a big deal, folks. So with that, Isaiah Colton here with another episode of Real Insider Pro. And we appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let me just stop it here.